A day in the life of an ms13 hitman. The Mara Salvatrucha, also known as ms13, is one of the most feared and violent gangs in the world. Originally from Los Angeles, California, this criminal organization has expanded throughout Central America, including its home country of El Salvador. Through its brutal crimes and its iron loyalty to the organization, ms13 has left a bloody mark on Salvadoran society, and its impact has been felt around the world. Welcome to the place where the most shocking crime stories come to life. Where mystery and history come together to tell us unique events of the most famous outlaws. Today we present to you the story of El Niño Hollywood, a day in the life of an ms13 hitman. Do not forget to leave your like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. Let's get started. To understand the history of the Mara Salvatrucha, we must go back to the violent streets of Los Angeles in the 1980s and 1990s. In this hostile environment, many young Salvadorans were forced to join gangs for protection and survival. It was there that ms13 was born, as a defense against other gangs and violence on the streets. But when US authorities began deporting Salvadoran gang members back to their home country, ms13 found a new opportunity to expand. In El Salvador, the gang became an even more violent and ruthless force, and its crimes spread throughout the country. The brutality of the ms13 is hard to describe in words. From drug trafficking and extortion, to the murder and maiming of its enemies, the gang has caused unparalleled chaos in El Salvador and in other countries where it has a presence. And what is even more worrying is their boundless loyalty, with more than 250,000 members. The scene is dark and claustrophobic. In a poor neighborhood on the outskirts of Ataquizaya in the year 2010, a 27-year-old boy smokes his fifth stone of crack, feeling the adrenaline rushing through his veins. But suddenly, a creak at the door interrupts their ritual. Holding back the smoke, the boy hears the unmistakable sound of a gun being loaded. In an instant, he pulls out two firearms, a .40 and a .0357. What happened to make you have to defend yourself like this? This boy is not a simple addict. He is Miguel Angel Tobar, also known as El Niño de Hollywood, a brutal assassin for the Mara Salvatrucha, ms13. But one day, he decided to betray the gang members and become a protected witness for the police, trying to escape his violent past. It was at that moment that the journalist and writer Oscar Martinez contacted him to interview him. But they both knew that the clock of destiny was counting down. Death well. He has seen migrants struggle to survive on routes where the line between police and gangsters blurs and where corruption seeps into every level of power. But to understand the root of the problem, Martinez knows that you have to penetrate the bowels of the gangs, a ruthless and complex world that feeds on violence and death. Journalist's words. I don't know if I'm such a good human being, but at least I try to be a good journalist. And in that sense, I think that the only thing that a source in this field demands of you is honesty. Miguel Angel wanted to know why it was important for me to follow his life until he was killed. And I replied that his life was over, but his story was not. It's the only thing I see that can be saved from you, I told him, who used half his existence to take other lives. Imagine a terrifying scenario in which violence is the daily bread. This is the place where Oscar Martinez and Miguel Angel Tobar grew up. For the former, the Civil War left an indelible mark on his childhood when, at the early age of 6, he saw his first corpses in the guerrilla camps. While, for the second, his life as a hitman began at the age of 12 in the feared Mara Salvatrucha. Oscar Martinez knows that the temptation to join gangs is great, especially when you know the context in which many of his sources grew up. He himself admits that he could have ended up being one of them. Gangs take you at ages when no one wants to be the jerk of the group, when everyone wants popularity and having girls. They make you powerful, they tell you that violence is a value, and that means that at the age of 13 you are able to make men who could be your grandfathers lower their heads, And then you receive congratulations from gang members with mysterious names that you have heard and admired all my life, Martinez says of the recruitment of gangs in El Salvador. Crime journalist is dangerous. It's a job that carries high risks, especially when working with sources in the world of organized crime. Oscar Martinez knows this very well. It narrates how always an uncontrollable rage and hatred when they kill their sources, since they would have sworn never to speak. Despite the protection provided by the journalist and the authorities, it never seems to be enough. Last December, 3 brothers of 16, 18 and 21 years old were assassinated. One of them hacked his face to pieces with machetes, another was cremated, and the third is so deformed that the cause of death cannot be distinguished in the autopsy. Miguel Ángel Tobar was a murderer. He was a ruthless one. Back in 2005, along with other gang members, he murdered a young man of about 23 years of age who was nicknamed Caballo. That man, in an act of idiocy, had decided to tattoo a 1 on one thigh and an 8 on the other, but he also had 2 letters tattooed on his chest, MS. Who knows how he did it, but Caballo boasted that he was a Barrio 18 gang member when it suited him and a member of his arch-rival, the Mara Salvatrucha, when it was better for him. Miguel Ángel Tobar discovered his secret. He entered it with lies in the mountains of Ataquizaya along with other emisis. They murdered him. Suffice it to say that Caballo died without arms, without legs, without tattoos. And, when he no longer had any of that, they still managed to torture him for a few more minutes. It was that day when Miguel Ángel Tobar, who was known in his clique as Payaso, thanks to his sly, long face and big mouth, changed his nickname to El Niño, because when he ripped out the horse's heart he had an epiphany and that it seemed to him like the birth of a baby. From a child. On the night of November 21, 2014, the silence of the night was broken by the explosions of firearms that ended the life of Miguel Ángel Tobar, a man who had trusted the state for his protection. But the state failed and Tobar was assassinated by those whom he had singled out with his testimony. The act was a brutal hitman, executed with precision and without mercy. El Niño Hollywood lived in the municipality of El Refugio, in a house provided by the Executive Technical Unit of the Justice Sector. He received a basic survival basket each month, which was not enough to support his 18-year-old companion and his 2-year-old daughter. Because of this, Tobar continued to find himself involved in drug trafficking, selling marijuana in small quantities that he brought from Guatemala thanks to his contacts. The reconstruction that the police made of the crime scene indicated this, in a street that connects with dirt roads that lead to the Las Pozas canton. In front of him, a motorcycle taxi appeared with 2 fat men, shaved heads and around 40 years old. They hit him with the motorcycle taxi. His bicycle was thrown away. The boy ran. The first shot of the 6 entered his back. The first red drops on the pavement are barely a meter from the bicycle. He advanced while they fired 2 more shots at him, one to the head, behind one of his ears, and another to the side of his body. He took 15 desperate steps and fell face down. He turned up to fight. The perpetrators approached and fired 3 more shots at him. Head and chest. The bullet casings are there, next to the pool of blood painted on the pavement, scattered, as if a wounded animal had crawled. The assassins took off, not towards the mountains, but towards the town of San Lorenzo in one of those motorcycle taxis that make a thunderous noise. The scene is about 50 meters from the police station. The police arrived about 20 minutes after the fact. There was no search operation or anything like that. On Friday, November 21, 2014, the day of his death, the child had gone to San Lorenzo to settle his second daughter. He brought his unique identity document and that of his wife. He named her Jennifer and she was 3 months old. She lost her father the same day her father recognized her as his daughter. Miguel Ángel Tobar would be like, from the police, his neighbors, the gangs, and even Oscar Martinez. It was an announced end for someone who decided to commit the ultimate sin in the criminal world. The betrayal. Remember to like and subscribe for more reports like this. See you in the next video. Until next time.